everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jezelle and I'm going to be your astrologer. Today we are going to dive into the Taurus New Moon. And this Taurus New Moon that's coming up is such a beautiful new moon. It is such a relief to have something so easy after these last couple of lunations. So this Taurus New Moon is peaking on May 16th and it's peaking at about 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So adjust for your time zone as needed. New moons represent new beginnings. We plant seeds. These are fresh starts. They're moments where something new can take root. They're also moments of time where opportunities tend to arise. This specific one is occurring in Taurus, and there's something very steady. There's something very steady and grounded and fertile and embodied about this new beginning. Taurus is a fixed earth, and it loves to sustain what's already been built. It's not a sign that rushes into things or enjoys impulsivity or changes. It likes stability and security. And so with Taurus, it takes its time. Taurus contemplates, it chews on an idea, it makes sure that this idea or this path truly aligns with its values, and then it slowly moves forward. It moves so that everything that is built or everything that is tended to in a very one step at a time type of way. That's most earth signs. Earth signs enjoy the logical and linear structure of building something. Like when you build a house, you put one brick on top of another. You start with the foundation and then you start building from the ground up. It's not throw things and see what happens. It's not impulsive, it's very strategic, and it's very slow. Taurus reminds me of a gardener that tends to its crops, that shows up to the garden every single day to make sure that the crops are watered and the garden is weeded and the crops are tended to so that the fruit of its labor can be something beautiful instead of something that may potentially be lost. Taurus is a very steady, fixed earth sign. It shows up every single day, even if it's mundane tasks, even if the task at hand feels like it is boring and daunting, it still shows up because Taurus knows that desire alone is not enough to reveal tangibility. And Taurus rules that tangibility. It rules the things in life that we achieve and that we grasp and that we can call our own. Once Taurus commits to something, it has the patience and the endurance to continue tending to it over time. And it understands that if you want something to flourish, to really truly bloom, you need to show up for it every single day. This is the type of energy that understands delayed gratification, that understands that consistency is the key to success. This new moon is bringing in that type of energy that requires consistency and it requires discipline to show up every single day. Now, let's rewind a little bit and let's go back to the last new moon. The last new moon that we had was in Aries, and it was a very strong fiery new moon. This new moon was all about what excites you, what lights you up, what you know gets your like wheels turning. And it had a little bit of impulsivity attached to it because Aries is actually very impulsive. And so we had a whole stellium of energy in Aries, and it was this new moon, and we've got, Neptune newly in Aries, and we've got Saturn in Aries, and there was just so much energy in Aries. And so at that time, which was about a month ago, it was the middle of April, notice if there was something that came up that felt exciting, that you wanted to start, that you want to explore, a really great idea. Maybe you press start on that, or maybe you decided to hold off a little bit. If that's something that you're still thinking about and you have not started, now is the time to start. Now is the time to start. If you have a goal in mind and that idea is meant to connect you to that goal, now is the time to start, my friend. If you started something at that time, but you're starting to feel like the task is mundane or it's starting to get boring and you're not sure if you can carry on, this is where you need to pull on that determination and you need to keep pressing forward. You don't stop. because the fruit of this labor is going to be so sweet. And if you want the fruit of that labor, you need to show up every single day. Let me show you the chart and explain why I have this whole idea in my head about how this new moon is showing up. I just think this is such a beautiful time, such an exciting time. And if you are somebody who likes to manifest, you want to stick around because there is something about manifestation in this chart. And I think this chart is the absolute perfect moment, the perfect time to start a manifestation ritual. Okay, here we go. Here's the chart. So May 16th, about 4 p.m., we have the sun and the moon meeting in the sky, and they're at 25 degrees of Taurus. So if you are a sun, moon, or rising in the late degrees of Taurus, this one is going to affect you probably the most. This one is going to be so fruitful for you. The soil right now is so fertile that anything you plant has the ability to grow into something really grand and really luxurious. Late degree Taurus, late degree Scorpio, late degree Aquarius, and late degree Leo. I feel like this is such a nice break. You've been taking on a lot of heaviness over the last while, and truthfully, that heaviness is not really letting up because we have Pluto moving through a fixed sign now. So for the next 15 years, we've got to deal with Pluto. Of course, different areas of the chart or different areas, different decans of the signs will be dealing with Pluto at different times. But this one in particular is not being affected by Pluto. So let's dive into it. The sun and the moon are standing in the sky right next to Mercury. Uranus has finally moved out of Taurus and it's now in Gemini, which is great. Uranus is a very destabilizing planet, and for the last 8 years, it was destabilizing all of our fixed signs. It was destabilizing Taurus probably the most because Taurus hates being destabilized. It's Earth, it's fixed, it wants the steadiness. Taurus really had to find a way to manage over the last 8 years. It had to find its footing. It had to find where it was going to rebuild from over and over and over again. And luckily, it doesn't have to do that anymore. But where Taurus is now, today, versus 8 years ago is very, very, very different. And if you are a Taurus, you can speak to this for sure. Uranus is now in Gemini. And with Uranus in Gemini, Taurus is off the hook. Thank God. Now Gemini has to deal with Uranus. But Gemini has a lot more flexibility and adaptability and mutability to be able to deal with these fluctuations that Uranus brings in. Uranus is, it needs that sign that it's in or that the person that it's affecting to just be able to go with the flow. It is an erratic flow and you don't know which way you're going to go tomorrow. You know, it's very much where you are today is going to be very different from where you are in a year from now. Very, very different. And so with Uranus out of Taurus and in Gemini, it's offering a lot more ease to this new moon in particular. Mercury is conjunct the moon, and this is important for a couple of reasons. First off, Mercury is the sign of our mental energy. It's how we perceive the world, the thoughts that we have, how we communicate and share and exchange with others. It also represents commerce. Mercury is the psychopomp, so it has this ability to travel between worlds, right? We can move from waking state to imagination to sleep state to meditative state or theta brainwave state. There are so many ways that the brain can move and our consciousness can shift. There's so many different levels of Mercury. And so how I'm seeing this new moon is this is really hitting our mindset. And there's another reason why it's hitting our mindset, but this is really hitting our mindset in a way where it's in Taurus. We need to set our sights in our mind on a goal, on an outcome, on something that we want to see in fruition. Probably likely something in the future because although Uranus is in Gemini, it's making an out of sign conjunction with this new moon and with Mercury. So Uranus represents the future and it represents this like quantum leaping and this complete change of reality. It's not as heavily affecting the new moon and Taurus as it typically is. It's really easeful. It's not disruptive, but there is this idea of wanting to set your sights on something that is in the future, but may actually be a lot closer than it looks or it appears right now. Now, the ruler of this moon is Venus, and Venus is over here in Gemini. She's at 27 degrees, and Venus represents values. It represents the things that we desire, the things that make us feel good. It represents our connections, our relationships, and how we, I guess, interact or relate with others. Venus and Mercury are in each other's signs. So here we've got a Taurus new moon with its ruler in Gemini and the ruler of Gemini in Taurus. So these two are actually working together. They're in each other's homes, but they're giving each other tips on how to work with each other. So we've got this mental energy and this tangible earthy energy working hand in hand. There's literally no better energy to start manifestation and like a consistent manifestation practice than right now. Literally right now. So Venus being in Gemini means that we are more than likely playing with some ideas. If we have already started a project and this is like our goal, we already have it, we've already begun it a month ago, let's say, for example, Venus in Gemini is requiring us to remain flexible because although we have our sights set on a goal, the path to that goal is not linear. It's likely going to fluctuate and shift and change as we move through the seasons or as we move through the days. Venus in Gemini is more than likely also juggling some ideas or curiosities. There could be more than one option that's being explored or entertained. And with that, if you have to choose one with Venus here, you really need to choose the one that feels good for you, the one that aligns with your values, with your desires, and the one that feeds your body, yourself, your soul, not the one that feeds someone else. So if there are two things coming up for you and one's aligned with you and the other one's aligned with, let's say, your significant other, and you want to be that supportive person, perhaps this time it's okay to say no and to focus on you and to go after the things that you want because this is your chance. This is your opportunity. Again, if you've already started it, this is going to be a very, very, very fruitful outcome. You need to stay consistent. Another thing that I've noticed or that I pick up on with Venus in Gemini is Gemini is mutable air, so it fluctuates. Think of a bumblebee that goes from one flower to the next flower to the next flower, or a bird that, lands on this branch and then picks up and takes flight and lands on another branch. There's no grounding to it. So there could be this sense of feeling bored and wanting to switch it up and change it up. If that's coming up for you, the suggestion is don't. The suggestion is don't, only because Mercury is in Taurus and Mercury is saying hold steady, hold steady. It's okay if the task feels a little bit boring at some point, but keep going. Keep going. Venus is also in a sextile with Mars, and Mars is exactly conjunct Chiron, like exactly conjunct Chiron, down to the minute. And what a healing experience this will be when you finally say no to the option that doesn't support your goal and your vision. When you finally take matters into your own hands and you do something for yourself. These first few signs, these first three signs, especially of the zodiac, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, are a lot more, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but are a lot more selfishly focused. They're less focused on other people and more focused on themselves. They want to connect deeply with themselves. And that's where the majority of this energy is. They want to honor their desires, the things that they want, the things that excite them. They want to honor their stability and the things that bring them pleasure and joy. They want to honor their curiosities and the things that get them, interested and that pull them in to the experience. So with most of the energies here, and truly no harsh aspects to the sun and the moon at all, we are finding a really, really, really beautiful opening here in this new beginning. I want to mention that if you are starting a manifestation ritual, Gemini and Venus plus Mercury and Taurus scream, start it now. And this has to do with perhaps affirmations. So speaking, you can speak to yourself in a mirror so that you're seeing yourself as you speak the words over and over again. Every single day, you show up for yourself every single day. The manifestation ritual can also be writing. So if it's something that you want to repetitively write out, you can. Perhaps it's you write it one time on a card and you look at that card every single day, or you post it up on the mirror of your bathroom or right next to your bed so that you can look at it first thing when you wake up and last thing before you go to bed. There are many ways to perform these manifestation rituals, but just remember that these rituals without action don't bear so much. You may attract a lot, but if you don't take action on it, you're missing the opportunity. And there's so much power in taking action for yourself and finally saying yes to yourself that it liberates you and it allows you to connect a lot more deeply with who you are and how you're showing up in this world in the most authentic way. All right, so that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoy and I wish you a beautiful new moon in Taurus. Okay, I do have one more thing I want to mention before I log off. So I am hosting lunar yoga. This is a whole new concept that I started a month ago. And we are finding movement, breath work, and meditation that align with the energies of the new and the full moon. And this particular one that's coming up on Saturday will be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're in the UK, it'll be at 6 p.m. If you're on the East Coast, it'll be at 10 a.m. And this one has a guest. So I'm not leading the practice, I'm leading the astrology. We'll be going in through a little bit quicker astrology, maybe about 10 minutes, reviewing the astrology of this new moon. And then I have a special guest who is a Kundalini instructor from the UK, who will be leading a Kundalini yoga practice. She has kriyas set up that align with this energy so that we can align our bodies and our energy with the energy of this new moon. How beautiful, right? It's a great way to clear your energetic space and to bring yourself into alignment with the energy of the new moon so that anything that you begin, anything that you write down, you journal about, you start will be in alignment with this moon. So if you're interested, let me know in the comments below and I will send you some more information on it. Until next time, take care and have a wonderful, wonderful new moon.